Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Nate's Pink Bookshelf. My name is Nate Denise. For those of you who are new to the channel or who just happened to stumble across this video, and today's video is going to be my Tome Topple Round 9 TBR, and I'm so excited for another round of Tome Topple. I participated in the one earlier this year, I believe it was in April, and that was round 8, and I had so much fun doing that, so I'm super excited to dive back into another round before the end of the year. So for those of you who are new to the word tome or what Tome Topple is, it's basically a readathon hosted by Sam over at Thoughts on Tomes, in which she does a readathon in which you take those books that are over 500 pages long and get a chance to read them, and it's a 2-week long readathon. For this year, it's going to be from November 9th until the 22nd, so I'm so ready for that, and I think it's awesome to do it right before snow hits. So she is co-hosting this with several other booktubers, and I'll leave all their channels down below. She's co-hosting with Adriana from Perpetual Pages, Sarah Jane from The Book Life, Sean from Reader's Ramble, Cass from Little Book Owl, Sam from Will Read for Boo's book blog, and Joss from Yogi with a Book. And yeah, so this year the prompts are the same prompts as last round, which was round 8, excuse me, and it's 5 prompts. They try not to do challenges just because it is a challenge in and of itself to read a book with 500 pages or more. So that's how that's gonna go. So the first prompt is to read more than one tome. The second prompt is to read the tome that has been on your TBR the longest. The third prompt is to read a tome that is a part of a series. The fourth is to read a tome in a genre that you usually don't read. And the fifth prompt is to read an adult novel. That means not a YA novel about an adult, not a children's novel about an adult, a strictly adult novel that's a tome. And for this, I'm going to be going with 2.5 books. And I say 2.5 because one book I may complete or be halfway done with by the time we start this readathon, so that's why. So the first 2 books that I'm going to read I can talk about because I have physical copies of them. So let's just dive in. So for the second prompt, which is to read the tome that has been on your TBR the longest, and for the third prompt, which is to read a tome that is a part of a series, I'm going with The Way of Shadows by Brent. This is the first book in the Night Angels trilogy. This is high fantasy and it's adult, obviously. And I'm super excited to read this. This has been on my TBR, according to Goodreads, since May 29th, 2014. That's about 5 years. I need to get into it, and what I remember from reading the back of this earlier is that it follows a kid named Azoth, who then goes and apprentices for a well-known assassin named Brent, and in doing so, he has to change his name to Kyler Stern, and basically just navigate the Assassin's Guild and become an assassin, pretty much. It sounds awesome. I'm all for assassins and magic and just fantasy worlds and just everything, so I'm super excited to dive into this. I will be listening to the audiobook as I read this, just for fun. I find that I like listening to the audiobook as I read my fantasy novels. It puts me into the world, especially since they do like sometimes they have full cast or they have like sound effects, which really helps me to dive more deeper into the world. So this book has a total of 677 pages, so that's a lot, but I can definitely prayerfully read this within 3 to 4 days, fingers crossed. But I'm excited to dive into this world, so this knocks off 2 prompts for me. The next book I have is going to knock off prompt number 5, which is to read an adult novel, and that's going to be Warbreaker by Brent Sanderson. I don't know much about this. I read the back, and it was very complicated to read the back because I cannot pronounce these names. So this will definitely be a book that I listen to the audiobook. Like, it's a need that I have to do that. So I'm definitely going to listen to the audiobook, which I already have set on my phone. But what I can remember is that this kind of world is run by gods and goddesses, and there is a silent god king. There's a princess who is betrothed to the god king. She goes to the land, and she just finds out that there is much more to the land and the god king that meets the eye and what's been told around to the world and to the people. So that's pretty much all that I know. I know that there's another character because they talk about another character. It says a new arrival comes and he bears the sword of Nightblood, but I'm not sure what happens after that. So I know that there's 2 main characters, possibly the god king as a character. I don't know. I know that this is going to be turned into a series now because Brent Sanderson has already has a title for the sequel to this. But when I got this, in my mind, it was only a standalone, which is why I'm starting off with this, because other than that, I most likely would have started off with Mistborn. but I'm going to start off with Warbreaker, and this cover is just everything to me, so we have that. The third book, which is the one that's probably going to be a half kind of read, is going to be American Gods. I don't have a physical copy of it. I do have the ebook of it. I have the 10th anniversary edition ebook of it, and I'm also listening to the audiobook. I start this technically on November 1st, but I have started it today as I'm recording this video because I snuck a little bit and watched like 5 or 6 episodes on Starz. Oops, whatever. But I read chapter 1 already just to compare the first chapter to the first episode, and there were definitely some changes, some differences in between, but I'm going to be reading that for a read along that I'm doing on Caravan. I'll leave the link down below, but they start that November 1st into December, and I thought it would be great to just dive into that because I did get a chance to watch Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett on, was it Amazon? I watched it on Amazon, and it really was hilarious, so I definitely want to read the book of that one as well. But I decided to just go with that because if I'm not mistaken, that book is a total of 509 pages on my ebook. So we have that, and for this, it's going to satisfy the prompt that says, prompt 4, read a tome in a genre that you usually don't read, because I know that this is sci-fi fantasy, but it is also classified as horror. I'm not a horror fan. I don't do horror books. I don't do horror movies. We just don't do horror at all. So I'm definitely interested in reading it just because the show was a little creepy. I won't lie, the show was creepy. I know the show has LGBTQIA representation. I'm not sure if the same thing goes in the book with some of the gods, but hopefully there is. And yeah, that is pretty much that. Oh, I didn't tell you how many pages Warbreaker has. So Warbreaker has a total of 676 pages. So 1 page less than The Way of Shadows, which is perfectly fine. So I'm excited for this readathon. I'm super stoked. My goal is to complete both Warbreaker and The Way of Shadows, excuse me. That's my goal, and American Gods if I end up including it. But yeah, just 2 books for this round. Maybe next year I'll try to sneak in 3. I think last year I had like 4 or 5 books listed. Don't know why I did that. But yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Leave your comments down below. What books are you going to be reading if you're joining in? And if you have any books that are like over 500 pages, I would love to know the titles. I'm always looking for new books, especially like fantasies to get into that are like huge. Don't know why. But I chose these 2 because I'll be traveling a lot in November, and I don't want to have to carry around a large, massive hardcover. I definitely would have been reading the Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, but I don't want to travel with that book like at all. Like, just know we're gonna save that for the next round of Tome Topple. But that is it. And yeah, so if you are subscribed, click the little bell to stay notified, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.